And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great show today. We're going to do a follow-up on some of the news that's out there about President Obama. We're going to take a look at some of the other politicians who have thrown their hat into the arena. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, Pastor David. Welcome on in. Welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. Thank you. And, folks, first, let me give all praises to God, the great I am, and our Lord and Savior, Yahshua of Nazareth, for making it possible for me to be here. And I want to welcome everybody to the show. Folks, we had such a great response from the show that we did the other day regarding President Obama and his quest to have young black men to have gay mentors. It has been such a fallout. That's just one of the things. But the real fact of the matter is that they're coming out with all this evidence and information regarding the treason, and it doesn't look good for Obama because he's a liar and he did all the things that they found out he did. But I want to say this to the American people and patriots across this country. It's where do we go from here? Especially the black community who put all their eggs in the Obama basket and thought that he was going to be the savior for black people. And he turned out to be just the opposite. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about some of the major news stories. We're going to talk about some of the illegals who have been continuing to commit crimes. And also the fact that right here in Chicago, we got Mayor Brandon Johnson, again, as he continued to justify having migrants here and spending taxpayers' money to take care of them. And with that being said, I'm going to bring my panel in today. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's up, Dre?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Man, listen, since that last show we did, we had so many great numbers. People have been inboxing me about the follow-up. So that's what we're going to do today. Listen, first up, we're going to talk about what's going on with Medicaid. You know, the illegals have been here, guys. They have continued to not only get taxpayers' money, but they've been using the governmental programs in order to sustain them, as well as to hide them with different programs' money, and they're teaching them how to avoid ICE. So Brandon Johnson here in Chicago, man, he has been an advocate for those illegals, and he's been taking taxpayers' money, and he is facing the wrath of the citizens of Chicago for what he has done. And so my thought is this, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Guys, what do you think about the mayor of Chicago from this point as he continues to try to help the illegals and break federal law?
Well, it's getting worse. And the bad part is just with the Democratic Party as a whole, because they've gone so far to literally approve of criminal activity, for them to do anything less than support it, there's nowhere for them to go. And I know that sounds strange. I know people are like, what do you mean? Like, because they've gone so far in, they can't turn back, because the minute they turn back, somebody's going to accuse them of being conservative or, not being supportive of the Democratic Party. I'm not wrong. And I know it sounds very crazy, but to me, that's the position that they've put themselves in.
Dre, your thoughts?
Mayor Johnson is an example of a mayor that you do not want to have leading your city.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that he's more interested in helping illegals than the American people at a time where Americans are suffering. We're in a time where we have the same group of people that are in what they call the failed Black third. The gun violence continues to increase in Chicago. Drug use continues in Chicago. Violence continues in Chicago. And education is failing. So you're telling me you're going to use all the taxpayer money to help illegals, but we still in Chicago are falling behind the rest of the country and the rest of the world in education. Our children are not getting health benefits. Our children are not being housed, but we're housing people from all over the world. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, guys, that was one of the reasons why, as a Chicagoan, I made my decision to run for mayor of Chicago, because we need to get things back to the basic for all the citizens of Chicago, especially the Black citizens here. Our communities have become war zones. They lack economic development. Our schools are probably the worst schools in the state, in America. And so as we continue to down spiral, Brandon Johnson continues to act as if though the city is doing good. On a couple of shows, he talked about how economic it was to live in Chicago and all these other crime is down. Those are just words that he's using to try to trick people into think that Chicago is a thriving city. Chicago is a hellhole. There's nothing here good that's happening in Chicago under his leadership.
And Pastor David Lowery, yesterday, he tried to highlight that he got 60,000 teenagers a job. And I was thinking to myself, what was the makeup, the diversity makeup of those children?
Right.
How many of them were Black? And also, 60,000 is a lot, but if we weren't using all this money for illegal immigrants, we could have made it 120,000,
yes,
or 180,000. How high do you want to go? And we could see less of these teen takeovers happen, and the degradation of the morals of these children that we're seeing on social media and just in public.
Well, Brandon Johnson, 60,000 teens, that's a big lie. He's a liar right now. And since Obama then got caught up, he has nobody to continue to try to train him to be a liar like Obama. So, I'm going to check into that, because if 60,000 children got jobs, that means the Black children should be off the streets. They shouldn't be living in buildings. They shouldn't be involved with all the takeovers that they're doing, because they would have something that's constructive to do. And that has been a problem here in Chicago and across the country and all the blue states, is that we're not looking out for our children. And think about this. How is it possible that you can look out for the children when you're doling all the money to the illegals so that they could live in our country off the taxpayer dollars? I'm going to play this clip so we can talk about it, about what Brandon Johnson said.
I like the way that reporter William Kelly put this. He's like, hey,
Chicago is concerned, our local police department does not dub as federal ICE agents. It's just that simple. The Trump administration attempted to sue the city of Chicago, a district court, rebuked that suit, because as a welcoming city, in order for us to continue to build a safe, affordable city, the people of Chicago have to have trust in their local law enforcement. And that trust is being built, it's being restored, and I'm going to ensure that that trust moves in a direction that allows for us to continue to have the safest, most affordable big city in America.
I'm going to stop that right now, y'all. What's your thoughts about what he just said about the trust, the affordable city? Your comments.
Well, he's good. I should say he's really good at, laying it on thick. And the fact that the lawsuit was slapped down by that court is okay, because they did go about it the wrong way. You can't just sue a state or a city. They are going about it the wrong way. What they need to do is bring people up on charges.
Yes.
But here's the deal. The DOJ cannot actually bring him up on Title VIII charges under Section 1342. It takes someone from the general public to do that. It actually takes a citizen to say, hey, these are the charges that he's brought up on, and here's the evidence. And I did that over this weekend. I sent letters for Brandon Johnson, for Eric Adams, and also for Karen Bass. I also sent those same letters for Governor Newsom, for Governor Pritzker, and Governor Holcomb. And they will have to investigate the evidence that I actually submitted based on the fact that they are harboring illegal aliens, and they're touting it, and they're proud of it, and they're constantly doing it. So they're actually helping the investigation that's going to go forth, but those charges can range anywhere from 5 to 20 years in federal prison. So,
Dre, your thoughts?
Well, what we're finding out from what he is saying is that this trust thing, that's actually a talking point.
mm-hmm.
Because that is the same thing that Mayor Adams is saying.
Yep.
In his pivot toward helping the illegals again. He mentioned trust. And a common thing that we find amongst liberals and Democrats is they put care above everything else. That's just a part of their moral taste buds.
Yeah.
And because they hold care up so high, they don't want to see violence. They don't want to see people treated what they deem as unfairly. So what's happening is you're hearing a lot of these words: fear, trust. But what we're seeing is that the liberals and the Democrats, they're adding to this fear and distrust. What are they pushing ICE to do when they don't allow people to detain the worst of the worst in jails? And then ICE has to go detain them in the street. And then also, while they're doing that, these people that have been here for 10, 20, 30 years get rounded up in the process. They're creating the fear that they're promoting against the Republicans, and they're falsely giving information to people that is the ICE and the Republicans that are causing and contributing to all the fear.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because in California, you got Mayor Bass, who are now giving cash cards to illegals. Yeah. I mean, how much more does the federal government need to see that these mayors, these governors of these sanctuary cities are most definitely breaking federal law? And I think that it's high time that this government take action against them. They should be charged with aiding and abetting criminals. They should be charged with breaking law. Brandon Johnson should be hurried up and carted off to prison for all the stuff he's doing, because he's openly saying right now, I don't care what the president say. I don't care what this administration say. I don't care what black people say. And basically, he's saying, I don't give a damn about what black people say. I'm going to continue to fight for the illegals, the undocumented workers. We're going to continue to give taxpayer dollars to these people. And that's not making sense to me. And I just feel that the DOJ needs to be sending out arrest warrants and sending ICE to pick them up, because they are breaking federal laws. We can listen to a little bit more.
Pastor Lowery, before we move on, the situation with Karen Bass is a little different because she's getting private donations.
That's not private money. Don't believe that.
According to them, they're getting private money. So if they are getting private money, then what we've seen when they've gotten private money in the past is that they ask people for donations, they funnel it into these nonprofit organizations. And then a lot of times people don't see the money. But at the same time, how are they able to just drum up so much support for illegal aliens and people that are immigrants and not do the same for the American people? We're seeing them able to just drum up millions of dollars like really quickly just to give people cash because they're too scared to go to work.
Well, let's be realistic, because we've been looking into this whole private money thing. The money that they're drumming up is money from taxpayers. The money that they've been stealing and giving to the NGOs to try to act if they're a private organization is grant money that they've already gotten before this situation even came about. Just like here in Chicago, we had organizations like the Urban League, we had the Divine Nine, the fraternities, sororities, they be getting grant money. J.B. Pritzker has been giving them money. And so all these different programs that are not benefiting the citizens here in Chicago, just like when we caught them giving money to illegals and training them how to hide from ICE. So this is just another deflection that Ms. Bass is using to say that, these NGOs or whoever is giving us private money. It's not private money. And that money has come from the taxpayers. That's our money. And now she's so brazen that she's willing to give it. My thing is, if you could, just like what you said, Dre, if you can find money and just pulling it off the trees for the illegals, why haven't you been pulling it off the trees for the American citizens in California and the Black community?
Well, as Dr. Nichols was saying, they just know how to lay it on thick. They had Samuel L. Jackson out there stumping for the people for the wildfires. And he was out there. He wasn't cussing. He was just like, donate now. But people did donate, and they never sold the money.
You know what?
Saw that money.
Sam Jackson is a crackhead, okay? And he can say he's a former crackhead. Sam Jackson is a crackhead because you have to be on some type of drugs, especially as a Black man, to see that the Black community is almost dead. We have no economics. We have nothing going on in our community. And every time the Black community say something about reparations or just getting money to be able to rebuild our communities, they say they don't have it. We don't have the money. But yet and still, as this thing play out with the illegals, they continue to find money. They continue to taunt the fact that, well, now we got private money. It's a bunch of BS, and the American people should be tired of our dollars going to people who are here illegally. And like I said, there needs to be charges against these mayors and these governors because they are aiding and abating criminals who are breaking the federal law. I'm going to play a little bit more of this, Brandon, for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go to the next one.
So after reporter William Kelly asked his question,
Move a little on now.
waste their money, right? I think most of us would say, hey, this is a
now with more on what Mayor Brandon Johnson may do instead.
Yeah, Ray and Micah, good evening. Now, while being specific, Mayor Brandon Johnson said he would not propose a property tax increase in his budget. During his weekly media address today, he pointed to a number of tax-the-rich options he's considering.
I'm going to go after progressive revenue. That's what the people of Chicago and working class families in particular want us to see us to do. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson reaffirmed Tuesday he's not planning to propose a tax increase in this year's budget proposal. Instead, he says he's looking for other sources of progressive revenue to address the city's $1.2 billion budget deficit. Everything has to be on the table. According to the mayor, that includes a tax on digital advertisements. People have made billions of dollars from the digital industry, literally billions of dollars, and that free advertisement happens on a consistent basis. So this is something that I've been looking at and exploring since 2018. When it comes to taxing the rich, we are the 10th wealthiest city in the entire world. So I think it's important that we look at, in a very meaningful way, how those individuals with means, particularly our billionaires and ultra rich who have benefited from a growing economy, can put more skin in the game. This includes a corporate head tax. It's based off the number of employees, similar to the one that was in place prior to its removal by then Mayor Rahm Emanuel, and something Johnson campaigned on. This notion somehow that we're scaring millionaires away, it's just the opposite. Do you know what they talk about when they do engage with me? They talk about community safety. They don't talk about taxes. Their number
Okay, that's enough, man. It's hard for me to look at
I
this
mean,
guy.
this is what Mandami wants to do. He just needs to come out and say he's a socialist and a communist. Just come
Exactly.
out and say it, because
Well,
that's what this is.
Well, the fact of the matter is that one, there's been $1.7 million that disappeared. That was part of the COVID money. Remember, guys, when I was tracking it, that 1.2 billion now is steady resurfacing. So what happened to the 1.7 billion that he could have used that was left over from COVID money to offset some of these debts that we're receiving? And that money has already been stolen, and all the money that they're giving to the illegals are just breaking the taxpayers' back. Now he's sitting up here talking about he want to charge money to the rich, he want to charge digital taxes and all of that. Well, Brandon, what about all the money that you've wasted on the illegals? What about the $1 trillion you done gave to the illegals here in this country that came to Chicago? What about all the money and the programs that you and the NGOs have squandered, hiding illegals and giving them money? See, these are the things that the news media should be picking up. They should be putting it out there. But thank God for what we're doing here. Let the truth be told, so people can watch this show and see what the truth is and get their own ideas and understanding about what Brandon Johnson, Bass, and I just cannot believe that Eric Adams has turned back.
Oh yeah, he turned tail quick. He turned tail quick because there's nothing he can do. And I knew it would happen because I was like, "What are you trying?" Like, I know you're trying to stay out of jail. Like, we get it. We all get it. Because the Democrats came after you. They were like, "Yeah, you're not going to side with us. We'll come after you." Going back to them is still not going to help you. It's not going to help.
Well, why is he making the move after he said that, we're going to open up the door. We want ICE to come in and deal with these issues. They must have something on him awfully crucial.
So this is what he said. So he was talking about ICE and how ICE wants to actually, be a partner with them in removing illegal aliens. And he's like, yeah, we want to remove the criminals, but there's always this excuse, right? They said, but there's still other people that aren't committing crimes. They've already committed the crime coming over here illegally. Exactly. They already have removal orders by a judge and they're not leaving. So they are here in a criminal situation, but they're not considering those people criminals. Those are the people that he's fighting for. Those are the people that he's trying to help ICE not get, if that makes sense.
Right.
And that's how he flipped.
That's exactly how he flipped. And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, the trust. They have put a lot of trust in these illegal immigrants that have been paying taxes into New York City. And they want them to continue paying them taxes. They want them to continue to feel comfortable reporting crimes and doing all the things that they feel that their illegal citizens serfdom should be doing. But that's all coming to an end. But they're going to try to delay it as long as possible. And going back to what you were saying earlier, Pastor Lowery, Brandon Johnson's in trouble because he's also flipping. Yeah. He was saying, we're not going to do any taxes on property. We don't have to do that, right? And he said it confidently. And then they spent all this money on illegals. And then he came out again and said, we might have to raise the property taxes. And then people pushed back. They were just like, no way, dude. You're saying all this. Now he's coming out with digital taxes, head taxes, and all these different. He's in trouble.
Yes.
He's in trouble. And that's
they
why
did that in Los Angeles too.
Strategy.
Well,
yeah. They did that in Los Angeles too. They did with cable TV. They did it with cable TV because they're like, oh, we're not charging taxes on cable. We'll just tax that. That's how we'll generate revenue. Seriously. Yeah. That's what they did. And that's what they did.
At the end of the day, those companies are not going to be taxed. They're going to use that as a vehicle to tax the American citizens more and more and more.
Yeah, it's a pass-through tax.
Yes. And so, I'm just saying this. The Democratic Party has really shown its hand. And they hate the American people. Just like you said, Dre, they're trying to get these people in to vote for them. But as they continue to lie, cheat, and steal, the American people have woken up and they're saying, you know what? We want them out. Because everywhere I go in the city of Chicago, people are saying, hey, Pastor, we're glad you're running for mayor. We're going to support you 100%. We want the Democrats out of this city. But the sad thing of it is there's still Black people after they see all of this. They see their taxes going up. They see in their schools being invaded with the homosexual. They are still doubling down and supporting Brandon Johnson. And I think that we're going to see this. There's only probably a small percent, but these people are in places where they're acting like everything is fine in Chicago. Everything is fine in New York. Everything is fine in California. Yes, for illegals, but nothing for the citizens. And that's what we need to be focusing on is how do we get our cities back under control?
Well,
how do we support the citizens?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Pastor Laura. Instead of it being a welcoming city, it needs to become an American city again.
Exactly. Now, in all of this, you would see J.B. Pritzker, he has been talking about how he's going to defy the government and how that these residents, not citizens, but residents are should be here and be given the opportunity. Well, since this whole thing and Trump has been back in office, and when the Doge came, they started examining all the programs like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. And the Democrats start screaming about, well, no, they're going to cut off your Medicaid. They're going to cut off the Social Security. They're the ones who have stroked the fear for our seniors and for our citizens to think that the president and the administration is going to stop taking care of the American citizens. To the American people and patriots across this country, that is a big lie. Because now that the DOJ is pushing and asking for records from Medicaid to expose and find out all these illegals that are on Medicaid, they're fighting like hell to keep it away. Doc?
Yeah, and that's part of the lawsuit that Brandon Johnson is talking about that the DOJ is bringing, and he's saying, "Oh, they're gonna slap that away." Actually, they're not, because you actually have to divulge those records, even if you've circumvented giving people federal funds at the state level. So they're really on the hook for a lot of criminality. But I think a reason why a lot of these governors and mayors are so comfortable is because there's one politician that's in Congress. Her name is Maria Salazar. She is in the District 27 in Florida, and she wants the Dignity Act. And the Dignity Act would actually help people that are here undocumented come out from among the shadows, and they would have to pay like anywhere from a $5,000 to $7,000 fine if they've been here, and they would also have to pay taxes. Now, if they've been here less than 7 years, then they can get a pathway to citizenship. If they've been here over 7 years, there's no pathway to citizenship. This person is a Republican, and to hear her speak, she sounds like Satan himself.
Well,
and I want her arrested. First of all, she's working with the Democrats on this, but I'm like, how are you going to reward illegal behavior? You just slapped everybody in the face that's coming here legally through immigration, through the process properly. You slapped everybody in the face and said that all this illegal activity that's been going on for decades is okay by trying to bring forth and act like this, acting like, well, we just don't want people living in the shadows, and President Trump, God has put you in this position for right now. I was like, if I could have came through the screen, my goodness. But see, that's why Eric Adams and Pritzker and all these other Democratic mayors and governors, that's why they have the swagger that they have, because they have somebody in Congress that wants to pass an act to wipe away all of their sin, literally, if that's passed.
Dre?
The Dignity Act would be another amnesty. Just
Yes,
like
it would.
That we
Absolutely.
saw in 1986. And my response to the Dignity Act is heck no. Why would the Republicans right now give away all the leverage that they have? They've put out all these executive orders. They've done everything to right the wrongs that have happened. And now we're supposed to give away our position because people feel bad that people have been coming into the country illegally for decades. Here's part of the reason why those elected officials that you mentioned, Dr. Nichols, are feeling comfortable, because they know that Americans have never had the stomach to tell people that they needed to go back. And we saw in 1986, no one wants to send Abuela away. But you know what? I think that Donald Trump, I think that Ted Cruz, I think that a lot of the Republicans have the stone, and the will is here, the energy is here, and we're going to get a policy that makes sense so that people don't try to do this same thing. Let's say the Dignity Act did pass. Heaven forbid. But let's say it passed. There will be more people coming here illegally, knowing that they're going to expect the same thing, the benefit,
exactly.
the same amnesty that everybody else got. We're done with that.
Yes. Like, I'm protesting the whole Dignity Act. So no on the Dignity Act. If you hear about it, if you see it, the answer is no. Just to your point, Dre, it is backdoor amnesty. That's all it is.
It is. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people don't know about it. Now, this Republican is a rhino. That's a Republican in name only. These are Democrats who have ran under the Republican ticket to try to poison the Republicans' work. So, you know, when we see these type of people that are saying, how is it as an American politician, especially a Republican, and we've seen what happened to us over the past 4 years with Biden with the open borders, how do you fix it in your mouth to say, well, we need a Dignity Act, and all those people who have been hiding in the shadows can now just come out and pay a fine? Hell no. They need to go back home to where they're at. They're so disrespectful to the American people. Like we did the show where the lady was like, the American people is stupid. I hate America, but I want taxpayer dollars. That's why I'm here. Well, that's what we should be leaning on. And we should be saying, and I'm saying to the illegals, it's time to go back home.
The whole family. We ain't separating families. Nope. Everybody's going. Babies included.
You know, they thought that they were going to be able to use this birthright to stay in the country, and that has failed them right now. You know,
this is why the birthright citizenship vote that's happening,
it's so important.
The ruling that's happening in October sometime is so important, because this is part of the way that these illegals have been able to get these benefits, like SNAP, like some of the other benefits, because their children have been deemed American citizens. And now the Democrats want to protect them and keep them hidden in the shadows so that they can continue to get their money, their votes, and continue to have the money flowing into their state for all these federal benefits.
And the most saddest thing about it is, when these people get on these programs, they use those programs and the money is going back to their home state where they came from.
That's right.
That money is not helping our economy at all, because even as they continue to be here, they're steady draining money out of the American taxpayers. And that's what we need to stop right away, because once that we get all these illegals out of the system, then that would be money that the American people can have for our children against crime, for better schools, for transportation. It's so much stuff that the American people can have if we stop giving money to illegals to be in our country. And I think that's important. But more importantly, this whole thing about the records. Now, as a politician, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, it shouldn't matter. Their first priority should be to take care of the American citizen.
Yeah.
I just don't see how it is. And the American people, we see this. We see it with our eyes open. We see how the Democrats are stealing money from us, giving it to the illegals. We see this ourselves. We know what they're doing. But the Democrats continue to try to scare people into thinking that, well, they're going to stop Medicaid. They're going to stop Social Security. This is sure fear-mongering. And the fact of the matter is, they should want to get all of these illegal people off Medicaid and those who are too lazy to work. There's nothing wrong with that. These programs are for American citizens, and that's how they should be. I'm going to play this clip, Doc, you sent me. Check this out, folks.
This affidavit, Candace Taylor applied for Medicaid in 2019 under a false name, Candace Saylor, reporting her income is $1,900 biweekly from her company, Destined for Options. She was denied benefits. She reapplied under the same false name in 2020, this time claiming no income, and received approval. The affidavit states in 2023, after she did not respond to renewal requests, Taylor's coverage ended. She reapplied in 2024.
You don't often see this level of abuse in the system. Someone who would lie over and over again about her eligibility and then go out and buy a Lamborghini and plastic surgery, that's pretty flagrant fraud.
The affidavit says Taylor consistently reported inaccurate income, concealed her business ownership, misrepresented household members, and disregarded formal requests for documentation. According to the Attorney General's office, between January 2020 and December 2024, Taylor's multiple businesses made over $9.5 million.
We spend a lot of money on these programs, and they are supposed to be helping people who cannot afford that medical care on their own. This is someone who very clearly was making a lot of money and could afford to obtain insurance.
Some Baton Rouge residents agree.
Puts a stigma on everything for, the people who really need these benefits.
I think it's terrible. You have people that end up having a serious ailment and they can't get those kind of benefits because they make too much money, but the reality of the matter is they're barely making enough to scrape by.
Others say the issue isn't straightforward.
You can see how somebody might start on a path of making the best of what they can, and then one thing leads to another, and then now they've gone down an unfortunate path.
Guys,
Yeah, and the path is extremely unfortunate. But see, we do have a lot of millionaires living off of the system because what they do is they hide their assets in trust funds and they hide them in foundations, and they make it seem like on paper they're not worth anything, and they own houses and cars, plural, and collecting welfare. And these are the people that are going to start getting investigated. That's why they need access to these records. So it's not just about these illegal people here. Oh no, it's about all these other people where they can match a name to IRS reports. Okay, because before they weren't talking to each other. Now, collectively, they can, and they can nab everybody.
And this is the same thing. Brett Favre, the NFL quarterback that was in Mississippi, a trillionaire, was getting welfare.
They gave him that money.
Yeah,
that was something different. They gave him that money. He didn't apply for it. They gave it to him.
Well, even though they gave it to him, there's some people who really need the money who can't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And their water system is horrible still.
Well, you know what? This is something the American people need to see. We need to continue to bring this information out because here it is. You're talking about a millionaire on welfare. Not only do we have millionaires on welfare, but we got all the illegals. And that's the reason why they don't want to give these records up, is because these records are going to expose not only the millionaires, but all the illegals that are getting millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars and acting as if they're citizens. And so I applaud the state of Louisiana for catching these people. But more importantly, guys, we need those records. So because that's where all the illegals are hiding. That's how they're able to catch them because they got the phones, they got the cards, they got homes, they own all of these programs and never spent one penny in this country. And they know, the Democrats know, that if the Republicans are allowed access to these records, they're going to find out just how bad it is. And that's what they're trying to hide from the American people. Dre, your thoughts on it?
I'm really disappointed because these are the same people, these people that are hiding money, these are the same people that are going to run for office. So they need to go to jail. And I'm glad that Louisiana is taking the steps to prosecute them so that that can happen. Because there are people that actually need these benefits and they're not able to get them, or people that just fall outside of the qualifications, and they're struggling every day to making decisions about what bills they have to pay and what bills they're just going to put on hold. And they're not easy decisions to make. So when I see this just makes me furious.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you know,
understand.
it's a shame because, you know, as I look at the Black community, and there are people who need to have Medicaid insurance because they might be $2 over from qualifying for it, and
Yeah.
they can't get the help they need, and they're living from
Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck, and they might not have the money. Somebody might need an operation, but if you make $2 over the limit, supposed
Right.
limit, you can't get that kind of help.
Right.
These programs were created for the American citizens.
Right.
They were not created for illegals. They were not created for millionaires and who lie and cheat and steal. They were created for people who are down on their luck, who need this type of program to sustain themselves and their family. And this is just a miscarriage of justice that we continue to watch this thing. And it's about the Democratic Party, who are now fighting like hell to make sure that they keep these illegals here. And that's crazy.
Their new voting base. What I find hilarious though is that a lot of people that especially are of Hispanic or Latin descent, they don't vote Democrat.
No.
They vote Republican.
Well, I think that the American people have waken up to what's been going on, and now that we see who the real criminals are, we can see the real criminals now. Just like Barack Obama, you know, we did a show a couple of days ago, man, and it really has taken off. I had people calling me talking about, you know, Pastor, we didn't know all of these things, but now that we know where Barack is really at, then they're able to distinguish and say, hey, you know what? We made a mistake because we thought that he was going to be about helping Black people, and he hasn't. And the first thing that he is in the hot water for is this Russiagate. He used the documents. He took the correct documents out. He put false documents in, and they're really after him about that. I'm going to play a clip from Laura Ingham of the latest of what's going on with Barack Obama.
It's incredible. It's all there now. It's in writing. And Tulsi's done a great job. She's tough. And she's tough and she's smart. And she did. She went deep into the files and she found it.
A new bombshell on the Russiagate hoax has dropped, revealing what U.S. intelligence knew back in 2016. Sources telling Fox News Digital that the U.S. intel had credible foreign sources indicating that the FBI would play a role in spreading the Trump-Russia collusion narrative. That was before the FBI launched its controversial probe. Now, CIA Director John Ratcliffe is expected to declassify intel from former special counsel John Durham's report on the origins of the FBI Trump campaign probe. Here to discuss what's next in this investigation and the legal ramifications for the big players, Jonathan Turley, GW Law Prof, Fox News contributor. Jonathan, I watched your interview of a couple days ago, and it was so good and so clear on an issue that can get fairly murky that I think it bears repeating. Why does this matter so much that the FBI and the CIA with Barack Obama decided to, it looks like, massage, manipulate, and manufacture intel?
Well, Laura, we're finally seeing parts of the timeline filled in, and it's creating a very damning picture. Remember, in July 2016, John Brennan went to Obama and briefed him that Hillary Clinton was going to invent this Russian collusion theory to distract from her email scandal. And so that was back in July. And then we now know, because of recently declassified material, that months later, it was Brennan who intervened, overruled people at CIA, and put the Steele dossier, this infamous debunked report, into the assessment being used by the Obama White House at the very end of Obama's term. That helped seed this whole Russian collusion investigation that the FBI then used to effectively derail the first term of President Trump. Now, what's fascinating about this, Laura, is that they're saying that this is coming from foreign sources that heard that the FBI was going to be part of this. This is before the rollout, essentially, of this plan. This is the real Russian conspiracy. There wasn't a Russian collusion conspiracy. This is that conspiracy of people that seeded this investigation and intentionally kept it going, even lying lying to the courts. One person pled guilty to the crime of lying to the FISA court. And so these details are very important as they fill these things out. And Laura, just to finish this up, it's fascinating, the response of the media with the Russian collusion narrative that was funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign secretly. They denied that they funded the Steele dossier, but they took that, didn't question it. And it turns out that all these other people had heard about Hillary Clinton's plan, but these reporters that got Pulitzers for this didn't seem to bother to pursue those types of leads.
Jonathan.
Guys, your thoughts on it now. And I mean, the cat is out the bag. I mean, he can't say again that this was a distraction, that this a witch hunt for Obama. They have actual documents proving this, that what they did, and now they're busted. Your thoughts, Doc?
Well, they can't cry presidential immunity because this does not fall under that. This is treason. This is something completely different. Like, this is a real crime. Like, this is worse than Watergate, because you didn't just have a few people colluding. You had departments, heads of departments, and their managers and supervisors in coordination doing this. Plural.
Your thoughts, Dre?
Nah.
Everything that they did in darkness is coming to light.
Yes.
There is a paper trail. Now, Numbers USA doesn't deal with this. This is Andre Barnes. Right. There's a paper trail, and we have to respect that. And we're going to have to really see how this process plays out. But it's not looking good. It's not looking good for former President Obama.
Well, you know, he had the black community miffed. And I think that now that black people are actually seeing him and who he really is, they're coming out in droves. I've been seeing so much information coming out where black people are actually banging his head against the wall saying, you tricked us. You need to go sit your butt down somewhere because you're no longer relevant. And I'm going to play a piece of that right now. Hang on, guys.
But for 8 years, Obama ignored us. No criminal justice reform, HBCUs left struggling, black unemployment stayed high. Then Trump stepped in and delivered. That's not a myth. Not at all. That's math. And now, black Americans are waking up.
Obama did more for white liberals, illegal immigrants, and LGBTQ activists than he did for the black community. And then you have Trump, who did more for the black community than the black guy did, and you still state that he doesn't like black people. So you voted a man into office who had the same skin tone as you, talking about how you wanted a first black president. And that first black president didn't do anything for the black community except laugh in you guys' faces. I'm here to say that if you're a black president, you shouldn't be catering to black people. If you're a white president, you shouldn't be catering to white people. As a president of the United States, you should be caring about all the Americans and how you can help them all out.
Yes.
And I believe that is something that Trump did do, because Trump is not just like, hey, I'm just helping out the black community and just doing things for black people. Trump has been doing things for all Americans. Versus Barack Obama was like, oh, I'm black and I'm going to help you black people out. And then he got in office, and for 8 years he did the exact opposite. Yet there's no accountability for that. No one's calling him out. No one is stating that, hey, for a black president, you sure didn't do anything for the black community. If anything, he made it worse for black people. Obama had 8 years and he never fixed the justice system. Black men were still getting unfair prison sentence under Obama. He never passed any major criminal justice reform. During President Trump's presidency, he signed the First Step Act, and 90% of those people that got out of jail were black men. So you mean to tell me that a white man during 2 years of his presidency signed a First Step Act which released 90% of black people, and in 8 years, Obama couldn't do that? During the 8 years that Obama was in office, HBCUs struggled financially. They were having an incredibly hard time with funding, and Obama would not secure permanent funding for them. But then the white man came into office that you guys couldn't stand so much, and he secured permanent funding for HBCUs. He also signed the Future Act and met with black leaders early in his term. The black home ownership rate dropped during Obama's presidency. Black people were struggling with getting homes, and it just was not good for them during the time that Obama was president. And then Trump came into office and pushed for opportunity zones to be pushed into struggling black communities to bring investments in.
Yep.
When Obama took office, black unemployment was around 12.7%. It barely dipped below 8% during Obama's term. Under Trump's first term, it hit a record low of 5.4%. You had a black president for 8 years that did nothing for the black community. But then you have Trump come into office and do all these incredible things for the black community, and you guys are still screaming that this man is not like black people.
Okay, guys, your thoughts on that?
Look,
There's like a smile here from ear to ear.
right. I had posted a tweet. I'll call it a tweet on X the other day, and I showed. I think it was kind of repurposed, but it showed just how different our lives are now, basically, with Donald Trump. And I was like, okay, this is from the man that you call a racist. This is from this guy.
Dre?
They hate it. They hate it.
They absolutely hate it. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend, because Pastor Lowery, I did not have the advanced metrics and information about President Obama. So I have all the Time magazines, okay? Like a lot of them. I have an Obama plate. I have an Obama coin. But I am very disappointed, and I like the breakdown that this young woman, I believe, this young woman gives in the video. It wasn't a flashy video. It was just her spitting facts. And I want to go over one of them that really stuck out to me. The 5.4% unemployment rate during Trump's administration. That is due to less immigration. She mentioned that Obama did so much more for immigrants and everybody else. Well, that is a factor into unemployment. All that illegal immigration adds to that. So what we've seen with Trump in getting rid of these illegals is actually giving opportunities to Black Americans.
Yep. And you know what, folks, I got another clip we're going to play, and I want you guys to respond to it.
Y'all, here we go again. The media is clutching their pearls because your boy Obama is being dragged into the light, and not in a good way. And then you got your boy Al Sharpton, y'all, screaming at the top of his lungs, saying it is dangerous to question Obama, coming from the political advisor, the go-to man when it came to radical issues. Guess what? He's probably part of the corruption. No, he is. Anybody that actually worked or did any type of work for Obama are all in on it. And now they out here screaming and trying to haul ass because they are caught the hell up. And every last one of them shall be held accountable for their actions. Because at the end of the day, y'all, let's be real. It's not about race. It's not about identity. This is about power for years coming from the Democrat and the control and the weaponization that they put not only on our country, but the actual people in this country. With that being said, y'all, we're finna dive into the first clip of today, and it's coming straight from Gunther Eagleman on X. If you would like to follow this guy, Al Sharpton is freaking out. I wonder why. We're gonna chop it up in the end, y'all, in the comment section, because I definitely want to know y'all thoughts. Let's get into the first clip. Let's go.
Tremendously in the midterm election.
And I got to ask you, too, before we go to break, about what's happening to former President Obama right now. You know, we saw Trump release that AI video of him getting arrested to the tune of the YMCA song. And now we have DNI Tulsi Gabbard sort of pushing these baseless claims about the former president, claiming that the Russia probe was designed by him to undermine Trump's incoming presidency at the time. How seriously do you take this? I mean, a lot of people are talking about it as a distraction right now, but do you think there's a real hunger, a real plan here to try to go after Obama?
I think it's a real problem for the country to have a sitting president to say that you are to arrest or prosecute a president, his predecessor.
Let me stop him right there, because wasn't Trump a sitting president and they put all them charges and felony charges against him, and also had him down here in Fulton doing a mugshot and all of the above? So how in the hell can you say you think it's dangerous for a sitting president, but the very same thing y'all did to Trump? No one is above the law. I want to see a Barack Obama motherfreaking mugshot. That's what I want to see. I want to see that blasted all over the media.
Guys, your thoughts on what Al just said? I'm gonna give you some time.
Well, this is their playbook. As they're talking with the real soft voice. You gotta trust. You gotta trust us. It's the same thing. He's wrong. He's wrong. This isn't him. This isn't Trump going after a sitting president. This is the Department of Justice. This is the, CIA, NSA. This is the Director of National Intelligence coming after the former president for information that they found that was there. His fingerprints are all over this. Can't deny it.
Dre?
I remember that they raided Mar-a-Lago. They televised it. They went through his wife's underwear drawer. They over document that they said that he shouldn't have for like a museum type organization. Like, this is crazy. This is totally different. And they're pretending like it shouldn't happen to a sitting president. What bizarro world are we in that would dictate that? It's just crazy to me.
Well, this is the reason why I'm saying that the Democratic Party should be disbanded. Now that we actually see who they are and what they've been doing, they've had people like Al Sharpton. I used to work with Al Sharpton in New York back in the 2000s as his crisis director. And I was all over the country with Johnny Cochran investigating cases and all of that. And that was when I found that Al Sharpton was full of crap. And I left the National Action Network because it never was about helping Black people. You don't see Al Sharpton out there saying anything about the illegals because they're paying him to try to keep Black people in a position to where we don't complain.
Or anything about Americans, especially Black Americans that have been hurt by illegal aliens. They don't come and grandstand for them. They don't go to the families' houses and give their condolences. They don't visit in the neighborhood and try to console people. It's not right.
Well, it isn't. And this is the whole thing that really why Black people are in the condition. It's the leadership. It's the leaders like Al Sharpton and Brandon Johnson and the organizations, like the Divine Nine and the Urban League and all these organizations who are getting federal taxpayer dollars. They should be cut off immediately. Our money should be going to the American citizens. And this is the whole problem that we are having right now, is that, and to the American people and patriots across this country, everything about Obama is documented. They're not saying nothing that, they're not coming up and just saying out of their mouth, he did this and that. They're leading off with the documentation of the signatures, the memos, all the directive orders that Obama gave to create this wall of lying and collusion. I mean, this whole thing under the Obama administration, he's going to be charged. He should be charged. And the fact that Al Sharpton is talking about a sitting president going after a former president, Dre, just like you said, there was no consideration when they raided Mar-a-Lago over some bogus documents. Joe Biden should have been locked up because he said, well, I got the documents out in the garage with my Corvette. All of these things have not been acted on. Even when Joe was deemed incompetent by the special prosecutor that said that Joe was too old of a man to be sent in prison, even though they caught him with the documents.
Yeah.
So to the American people and patients across this country. Now that we see there should be not one Democrat voted for in the midterms election. They should be totally ran out of office. They need to be ran out of this country. Now that all this stuff is coming out about them, the American people can see it. And during the midterms, I'm telling people, man, especially black people, we need to go out and we need to vote for people that's doing righteous work for our community. And just like the young lady said, everything that Obama and them said they was doing, Trump did it. He created the First Step Act. I got so many black brothers out of prison under the First Step Act, man, you wouldn't believe it. Just like right now that he's in, we're working with the Pardon Division now to try to get brothers out of jail who already got their C numbers and all of that. So we've been working on a way with the White House that we can now take a look at the process on how all of these brothers that should have been out of jail under the first Trump term, now we're working to get them out of jail right now so they can get back with their families. There's a lot of political leaders, prisoners that are there, man, and it's just ridiculous what they're doing. And people like Al Sharpton need to be thrown in jail. Let me see a little bit more. We can play a little bit more, Al.
It's never happened in American history. And to
dangerous for a sitting president, but the very same thing y'all did to Trump. No one is above the law.
Get up. All you need is some nut to feel I should make a citizen's arrest. This can go anywhere. So I don't think we ought to deal with it as a distraction, but we need to deal with the gravity of what they're doing. You're talking about the president of the United States, no matter how we feel about him, attacking a former president, saying he stood in this Oval Office and broke the law and he should be brought to justice.
Yeah, they're using words like treasonous conspiracy.
And what is, when I was going to school, treason, what are you supposed to face with treason? So I think it is very dangerous for the country, very dangerous for President Obama and his family. And I think it's something that, when Donald Trump was shot, all of us rushed out and said, this is wrong, we condemn it. You can't put people in a position where you can incite somebody who's not all that well to think they're doing the country a favor if they're dealing with treason. And that's my fear, that we now are way across the line of what we should do for Trump or Obama. We shouldn't do that to any president.
Okay, guys, y'all just heard that. The Democrats was the ones who caused President Trump to they tried to kill him twice. What Al is talking about, well, this might happen to Obama. They incited people with fear, hatred. The Democrats did this. And that's why people went out and tried to assassinate President Trump twice. And here you have Al Sharpton talking about how, well, if they keep doing this, people might want to come after Obama. Well, Obama has already broken the law. He should be well out of office for what he has done, and he needs to be held accountable. Doc, I see you itching to say something.
Look, nobody, to your point when you said it earlier, people just want Obama to sit down and go somewhere. You know, that whole thing with Obama, with Michelle and the podcast and talking about, black men, young black men need a gay mentor. Like, the internet is on fire about Obama, and not in a good way. Like, people want him to go away. This is just making it worse. And people want him to go down as the first black president. He wasn't. Historically, he was not the first black president. People need to go do their research. And, first of all, he's not a black man. He's a Kenyan. His mother's white. So that's another thing. He's just not all of that. And we need to admit it. He was somebody who thought he was all of that. That's why he tried to change those documents. He did it himself.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't put anybody in to do dirty work, so he could at least have 6 degrees of separation and some anonymity, something. So, no, because it was that brazen. And that's the problem with a lot of the politics that we have now in Washington, D.C., and all over the country. They're brazen about their criminality, and it's just sad.
Dre?
This is, again, very disappointing, because a lot of times the Democrats will project that Donald Trump is some sort of authoritative, strongman dictator. But what actions support that? but we're looking at the actions that are coming out of the darkness and into the light of former President Obama. And we're seeing in real time banana republic type stuff. And oftentimes American dirt is kind of hidden. It's hidden. A lot of people are just like, well, at least we're not like the communists there or the socialists over there. But we're starting to see some of the same dirty tactics as other.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, folks? Now, I don't know how y'all felt about this. When I was on the show the other day, and I spoke about how Obama has 2 murders hanging over his head. And I got caught a lot of flack with guys just talking about, man, you saying that about Obama, man. That's all wrong. But check this out now. When I said that a couple of days ago, there's been a new fire under the investigation regarding Obama and the deaths of the chef and Donald Young, who was murdered because he was going to tell it. And that's what happened to the chef. Remember, guys, I said the guy was working on a tell-all book?
Yeah.
Guess what? I found something that the American people and patriots want to hear and see, because this beloved, respected Barack Obama, Barry Soweto, whatever the hell his name is, there's more than nothing but a drug user, a homosexual, a crackhead, and all of that. And he has destroyed 2 families by killing their kids. And I want to get this video up for you guys so you can see it right away. Here we go.
This story right here, this is the reason why we're covering it, because it was buried. No one discussed it anymore. No one. And it's time that we discuss it. All right. So who is this brother we got on the screen? This man's name is, what's his name? So a whistleblower from the Barack Obama's late chef Tafari Campbell's family. Let me put this up here so you guys can see it. A whistleblower from Barack Obama's late chef Tafari Campbell family has reportedly come forward, revealing that at the time of his mysterious drowning at the Obama's Martha's Vineyard estate, Campbell had been working on a tell-all book to expose the misdeeds of the Obamas. Let's go back. A whistleblower has confirmed that this chef has been writing a book, a tell-all book about the misdeeds of the Obamas. And then he dies. Hold on, let's continue. He is also said to have had a years-long sexual relationship with the former president. Okay, let's go back. Is this believable? Nah, this ain't believable. I mean, all Barack Obama does whenever he gets a platform is try to push the gay agenda. Is this believable? Maybe. What about the story of the white man that said that back in the day he used to meet up with Obama and they used to do things in the car, take advantage of like certain drugs. Not going to name the drugs because all of that's let's just stick to the story. Okay. So this chef says that he was in a years-long sexual relationship with the president. Okay, let's continue. This comes at...
No, I want to hold it right there. Now, the comments that Obama made that every young black male needs a gay mentor. Your thoughts, Doc?
Well, it's just like I said before. It's sad, that a lot of this is coming out now and people are trying to still protect him. It's like, you can't protect him anymore. It's all out. It's beyond all out. And the repercussions need to just come, the consequences.
Your thoughts, Dre?
This is way over my expertise. This is alleged. More information is coming out. I don't really have much of a comment for this.
Okay, good, because I'm going to have a comment for it. This is what I was talking about, being in Chicago and knowing these families. When I said what I said it because they were facts. And now they were able to hide it so long. Now the facts are coming out. Now that Obama has already came out and confessed that he's gay. He wrote it in his memoirs. He said he every day he fantasizing about having sex with a man. All of it's coming out. He was having a relationship with the chef. And when the chef was creating this book that they found out that he was writing, they had to make sure that this book never saw the light of day. I'm going to play the rest of this, guys, and then we can discuss it. Dre, I know you're on the mute system, but Doc, you and I can talk about it. Now, listen to closely what he's going to say now.
I'm shortly after Larry Sinclair, the guy we was just now talking about, a homosexual man alleges that he smoked crack and had an affair with Obama in 1999. You guys remember Larry Sinclair? When this story very first came forward, a lot of content creators were putting it out there like, yo, have y'all heard about this? Have y'all heard about this? And everybody was like, come on, don't nobody believe this guy. Don't nobody believe this guy. Let's continue. Now, so far, the chef, a whistleblower comes by, a whistleblower comes forward saying that Chef Tafari family has reportedly come forward revealing that their nephew, their brother, their uncle, this young man was writing a tell-all book for years about the Obama's misdeeds. And then he also admitted that he was in a sexual affair with President Obama. And then Larry Sinclair comes by and says that he was in an affair with Obama and they used to smoke drugs and all this other stuff. Okay, this is not so that the conversation can get all sensational or nothing like that. I'm just putting it all together, guys. All right, so it also fits a similar pattern to a little known case of a man named Donald Young, a member of Obama's church, who allegedly had a years-long intimate relationship with him. So, Donald Young is new to me. I have not heard of Donald Young before until just now. Please let me know in the chats if you've ever heard of Donald Young before. Just a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that would be cool. But I would like to know if you've heard of Donald Young. Also, guys, hit the like button if you haven't already. That would be great. All right, here we go. In the heat of his 2008 campaign, the night before Young was set to come forward to the American public to expose Obama, he was mysteriously shot and murdered in cold blood in what was later deemed to be a home invasion in Chicago. So timely, such timely news right there, right? So you got Donald Young, who is about to come forward and talk about his year-long intimate relationship with President Obama during his 2008 campaign. The night before he was supposed to come forward with this information, he was mysteriously shot dead in a home invasion. Guys, this is nuts. This is absolutely insane. Let's continue. No suspect was ever charged with his murder. Come on, guys. Come on, y'all. So you mean to tell me that they didn't even investigate this? They didn't even investigate it further. They was like, man, forget that. He got what he deserved. He was probably unalived by, you know what? Never. I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's continue, because his investigation led to nothing. That man died for nothing. And the only thing he had was a story of him and the president being intimate. Here's another thing. This is a major revelation, and it appears that the truth about Barack Obama is finally coming to the mainstream of the American public. This begs the question, what really happened to Tafari Campbell, Obama's chef, and Donald Young? Here he is right here. What happened to him? Did Michelle know? Is this why his daughters no longer want to talk to him? What does his daughters know? Is this also why his daughters changed their last name? Just something to consider. Because the family knows. The family always knows the dirt. Before any information is put out there about anybody, The family knows. The family knows. We have been helping people grow online.
Folks, get your comments on this and we got to get out of here.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is sad. But here's the thing. A lot of people kept saying, we want to drain the swamp. And you know what? This is a part of it. And there's going to be fallout. And there are people a part of it, whether you like them or whether you don't. Be prepared for the information that you're going to get. It's not going to be pretty. I don't think people want to know that their former president was, a homosexual, but he was. He championed homosexuality in his presidency. It happened. So we don't get to sit back and pretend like, oh, he was somebody different. No, he was who he was. We just didn't want to believe what we saw.
Dre, you want to comment on that? Well, I'm going to comment so we can get out of here. See, when you do things in the dark, they always come to the light, like you spoke earlier, Dre. And being a Chicagoan and knowing some of these families that are, I know people, they came to me and said, Pastor, this is actually what happened. I was told that Donald Young was murdered by Donald Young's brother, that he was having an affair with Obama, and that's why they killed his brother. That's why you heard me say that. And now here it is. He talking about young boys and should have gay people. So all of these people that have lost their lives, Tafari, Donald Young, they were young guys. And Obama, if he had already telling you that young guys need to have gay mentors, then what they're saying is true. It has been said, it was documented, it was brought to me by people who knew these families and knew these young men. So President Obama is a pedophile. Because if you talk about having gays mentoring young boys to tell them about their father and all of the stuff that he said during the podcast, then to the American people and patriots across this country, Barack Obama needs to be arrested for these two murders, because these families are fighting like hell right now to get justice for their children who lost their lives. Doc, your last words, and we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing this out to the light. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. And remember, when you see all of these things occurring, look up for your redemption is drawing near. And definitely check us out at the Redemption Party at usaredemptionparty.com. We are looking for people to be candidates and servants of the people, not politicians, and also members of our party. So definitely check us out at usaredemptionparty.com.
Dre, your last words?
Not everything that we discuss always goes over immigration, but we do need better immigration policy. Numbers USA has all the information about what those policies are. They can give you information about the grade cards of these elected officials as well. So you can see how they voted on immigration. It's time to get legislative policy out. We have the energy, we have the change agent in office. Let's get it done.
Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in, and we might have to do something tomorrow because of the fact that there's so much stuff. I had so much stuff that we had to discuss that the clock against the wall won't permit it. So we'll talk about doing a part 2 tomorrow. Thanks, guys, and we'll see. Well, I'll call you about tomorrow. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show, and I want to ask people to share it around. We can see what's happening now in our country. You know, the fact that Barack Obama with Russiagate and all the personal dealings now that he's come out, that he's gay and he feels that young Black boys should have gay mentors. And when you look at this last clip that we played, we can see the pattern of pushing homosexuality in the schools, the LGBTQ, all of those things that was done under the Obama administration, because they wanted to end the masculinity in America. They didn't want to have strong white men and Black men who've been running the country and saying that be a man. Now we can see his whole agenda. It's out there for the American people to see. If you don't trust what we've done, do the research. I'm telling people, to the American people and patriots across this country, do your research and find out, now that you know, that you can see that it's time for us as the Americans to take our country back, and we need to support President Trump as he's continued to drain the swamp, and we need to make this country great again. God bless you. Thank you for showing up. Share it around, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great evening.